just a Monday morning at 4:30 when I took Mike to the airport, and as I do usually every Monday morning, he says to me, "What's going on this week?" And I brought him up to date, and he said, "Well, thanks a lot." He said, "You and the staff convinced me to stay back in Washington 1 weekend a month, and the 1 weekend a month that I'm staying back is when they're honoring George Gamble." So it's my fault that he's not here, of course. Yesterday, he went down to the House of Representatives floor and shared with his colleagues a congressional record statement honoring you. And in the interest of time, I think I'll just share a couple of paragraphs. Madam Speaker, I rise today to pay tribute to George Franklin Gamble, who is being honored as the Napa County Farm Bureau's 2009 Agriculturalist of the Year. More than 50 years ago, Mr. Gamble and his brother left their studies at UC Davis prematurely in order to take over an ailing father's 17,000 acres. Ever since, George has been a pioneer in sustainable agricultural and responsible farming and grazing practices. He performed environmental enhancements and remediation to farm and ranch land long before such practices were generally accepted. To this day, he works to enhance habitat on his land and demonstrate that wildlife and agriculture can coexist. And then it goes through a little bit of your background. And it says down here, Madam Speaker and colleagues, it is my distinct pleasure to recognize my dear friend George Franklin Gamble for his many years of leadership. The Napa Valley and the entire agricultural community owe him an enormous debt of gratitude. I join his wife Nancy, 3 children and 7 grandchildren in wishing him the continued success and fulfillment, signed Mike Thompson. And Mike doesn't really share something like this on the House floor with members too often. I think probably about a dozen times a year. But he actually read it into the official record yesterday morning. So on behalf of Mike, I'd like to present you with a copy of this congressional record statement.
Thank you, Brad. At this time, I'd like to bring Lori. Are you going to be speaking on behalf of Noreen?
Yes.
All right.
And Michael Allen on behalf of
And Michael Allen and Wiggins contingency also, Cheryl Macklin and Michael Allen. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks. So this is a legislative resolution for you, George, from the state of California. I worked with George a few years ago on one of the most diverse organizations I've been privileged to sit at the table with. Started out at Fish and Game with those wonderful golden eagles up on the walls, and it was the BRBNA, the Blue Ridge Berryessa Natural Area. And it was everybody from the Rocky Mountain Elk Society to the NRA to the, who was that guy from?
Sierra Club.
No. No, he was over from Puda Creek. You know who I'm talking about. He wore kilts. Who was it? Come on, help me with this. The Quail Ridge. Thank you. Thank you. It was a pretty diverse group. And George was one of the linchpins, one of the solid foundation of this incredibly diverse group that was really working towards opening up this area that was 3 or 4 counties and all different kinds of private land and government land and really the resort owners from Berryessa. And, you know, so it was really a diverse group, and George was one of the faithful and one that you could kind of count on. So, on behalf of my personal experience with George Gamble, and from the state of California, we would like to recognize you as just being a hell of a farmer. And he got bucked off his ATV a couple of months ago, but he's back up and around, and we're glad to see you up and around and many more years. Thank you.
Well, unfortunately, I don't have a personal story about you, George. I've just heard lots of stories about you. So, majority of them are pretty interesting, pretty good. So, anyway, but Michael Allen and I wanted to present this resolution to you also from both Senator Wiggins and Assemblymember Evans. And I picked out a couple of, I thought, memorable paragraphs in here I wanted to read. So, as a tribute to George Gamble's long and valued record of leadership as a steward of farmlands and open space, and through his unsurpassed enthusiasm and commitment to meeting the needs of the public, George has created a legacy of community involvement and civic concern. We commend him for his lifelong commitment to the preservation of agricultural lands for the benefits of generations to come, and convey best wishes that his efforts will continue in the years ahead. Congratulations. And don't let Peter near this resolution in that class.
Thank you. Sharon.